Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about Coinbase stock and crypto in general. I know I don't talk about these assets on my channel that much, but with the insane volatility and fear that we're seeing in the market today, I think it makes sense to do a quick video on this to give you guys my take on the investment opportunity that I'm seeing in this mess right now and why I think Bitcoin is much closer to a bottom than it is to a top. I know it seems very unreasonable to be bullish in this kind of market environment when Bitcoin has crashed and we're seeing so many layoffs in the tech space. But I think generally speaking, we need to be looking at the optimistic side when everybody else is pessimistic. And that's exactly the take I'm going to give you guys in this video. But as usual, guys, before we get into it, make sure to drop me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So the first thing I want to talk about is obviously the price of Bitcoin. Now, the reason why I want to start off with this is because it doesn't matter what the fundamentals of your business are, as you've seen with Coinbase over the past couple of months. But the price of Bitcoin is what's going to determine the price of all these derivative assets like Coinbase, Binance, and all these other equities and crypto brokerages that have been on the market over the past couple of years. So we need to address Bitcoin first. Now, obviously from 70K, we've had a very significant decline. And although that's not a good sign, we need to keep in mind that support levels are more of an art than they are a science, meaning we need to respect these levels for their zones, not their direct price points. And so generally speaking, if you're an investor, if you want to add crypto to your portfolio, you're getting a very good risk to reward investing here, even though I know the headlines look very grim and there's a lot of pain in the market and probably there's more downside left in crypto. But again, there's no guarantee of that, right? The market could continue rallying higher for the next couple of months and you could never get that bottom again. And so I would rather not miss out on never investing in crypto or any assets related to crypto than wait for the market to go even cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and potentially never get my entry point. And so that's precisely why, I've been a buyer of Coinbase, because Coinbase is one of those brokerages that has a very high likelihood of surviving this crash. We have seen other brokerages get wiped out in this crash. Recently, we saw something called Voyager Digital, which is a stock on the OTC markets, get absolutely destroyed yesterday after it fell 60% almost in one trading day. This stock is now trading at 50 cents, guys, and this thing was trading at $30 back in April of 2021. That's an insane decline of more than 97% in about a year's time. This is what we call the crypto bubble popping. It's all the derivative assets that are popping that are causing this deleveraging in the crypto market. And this is a good thing, because if you're buying a strong business like Coinbase, then this means a lot of the competition is getting wiped out and a lot of the risky bets are also getting wiped out, which is going to reduce the volatility of something like Coinbase and obviously Bitcoin as usual down the road. Now, Coinbase is not the number one platform in the world in terms of crypto trading. They are the second to Binance. But again, there's always going to be competition, especially in the software crypto brokerage space. And I would much rather invest in the top 3 companies than invest in something much more riskier like Voyager Digital. And that's primarily why I've been buying Coinbase, even though, yes, there could be more downside in the short term. The longer term macroeconomic tailwinds for this company in the form of Web 3.0 and obviously decentralization and NFTs is pretty significant. But regardless, the point here is that Bitcoin is coming down to a very attractive support zone, even though the fear mongers are all out in full force against this asset. Now, yes, if we break below 17,000, there's a very high likelihood that we go test 10,000 or 13,000 in the very short term. But again, we're playing a probabilities game here. There's no guaranteed stuff here. And so Bitcoin could automatically reverse from this level. But again, I'm not going to scramble over a 7,000 point difference when the reward potential is from around 21K all the way up to 70K, which is obviously the nearest resistance level that we had, which is even higher than obviously 45K, which still gives us a fantastic 2x risk to reward, even if you think Bitcoin is going to go to 10K. And so even if you now look at some of the longer term trends of Bitcoin, you notice that this is still a very attractive entry point for crypto in general. Now, yes, a lot of the stable coins and derivatives or altcoins are not going to survive this market, guys. But if you're investing in Bitcoin or Ethereum or Coinbase or Binance or any one of these very established assets within this crypto class, then you're going to have a very good chance of building wealth if you believe in the long-term benefit that Bitcoin provides to the economy and the financial system. As you can see, relative to 200-week moving average, this is the first time we've hit the zero level since 2020 and 2015 and 2016, which, as we all know, were great buy the dip opportunities. And overall, as long as we don't close below this area for a very extended amount of time, this is a great support zone. And historically, as you can see, even though we've often broken below the red line for a very short amount of time, we have often still recovered. And these are the exact same times when people are all talking about Bitcoin being dead and Bitcoin crashing another 50% from there. And it's when you see peak fear in the market that you often get the best risk rewards. Here's another point in terms of miner accumulation. Now, I'm not that fancied into understanding all the technical jargon around Bitcoin, but I do know that mining plays a pretty critical role in the asset value of Bitcoin. And so when the price of Bitcoin goes down, miners tend to, take their foot off the throttle when it comes to mining more and more Bitcoin. But in this case, obviously, we are starting to see accumulation again in Bitcoin, mining specifically, even though the price of the asset, as you can see in the background, has gone down. What this shows us is that although price is going down, confidence is still there from the people that actually control the price of Bitcoin the closest. On the stock side, we often talk about institutional investors and hedge funds. On the Bitcoin side, we often talk about miners being the counterparts for the crypto side. And so this is generally speaking a very good sign. And as you can see, historically throughout 2021, it has acted as a pretty good sign of near-term bottoms when the price is going down, but all of a sudden you see a flip from red to green. But again, now I want to kind of get into why I've been buying Coinbase stock specifically. Now, you guys already know Coinbase has been cutting costs aggressively, and there's a lot of competition coming on the market. But like I just said, a lot of this competition is getting wiped out in this kind of market. People are realizing that Coinbase is one of the leading platforms in crypto. And although the company is facing headwinds in the current market space, if you're looking at a time horizon of longer than 2023 and 2024, the fundamentals are still in place in the idea of Web3 and obviously NFTs for the long-term opportunity of this company. And yes, in the short term, this company is over-leveraged. They have a lot of employees and they also have a lot of debt. But the idea here is that in the long term, companies with a good cash position are the ones that are going to survive. And as you can see, Coinbase right now is trading at a price of cash of only around $2.13. And yes, although the PE looks very attractive, and this is one of the things that made me very attractive to this stock back in 2021, unfortunately, 2022 is not going to be a profitable year for Coinbase. But again, the key idea here is that if you believe in Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin starts going up in 2023, then Coinbase is going to be back on the path of profitability. And with a valuation of only 5 in terms of a forward PE, that puts Coinbase potentially, let's say, at a $20 to $30 PE ratio for 2023. And if 2022 is going to be a disaster year for Bitcoin and revenue for Coinbase, then the comparisons in 2023 or 2024 year over year of not only EPS but also sales is going to be immense, right? We could be seeing double-digit growth, and that is exactly what's going to spark interest in the stock again. And so, although 2022 is not going to be any fancy year for Coinbase stock, I don't think so, it's an accumulation year. And that's exactly the years that I want to be a long-term investor in. And then finally, the other thing we want to keep an eye on here is that, as you can see, we're starting to see more and more people buy into Bitcoin from the long side recently. Now, I'm not sure how accurate this data is, so keep in mind that this could be completely false, but based on this person who is verified on Twitter, this is the data we're seeing. This is, again, a sign of accumulation. And although people don't realize this, inflation is a leading indicator for Bitcoin, meaning if Bitcoin is going down right now, it probably means that inflation expectations are coming down. People are realizing that higher interest rates are actually going to bring down inflation, even though in the short term, it doesn't feel like inflation is going to come down anytime soon. Bitcoin went up in 2020 and in 2021 in anticipation of the record inflation that we're seeing, guys. This isn't a coincidence. This has all happened on purpose. And yes, we're seeing a recession in 2022, but all this was priced into Bitcoin 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. Now Bitcoin is pricing in inflation actually coming down, which is why the asset price is going down, and which is why many people have been complaining about inflation being high, but Bitcoin also being down. And so if you expect us to be in a monetary expansion phase, 2023 and in 2024, then Bitcoin is a good asset to buy, because during monetary expansion phases, we see inflation go up. And right now, the average rate of inflation, even with a 2% target for the Fed, let's say in 2024 or by 2025, is still going to be extremely high. And it's going to be much better for you to put your money into something like Bitcoin, whose obviously supply stays relatively constant as compared to the fiat currency of the dollar. And so that's kind of the reason why I have been accumulating Bitcoin, even though, yes, inflation is expected to go down. And even if we now look at the Puell multiple, which has historically indicated the near-term bottom for Bitcoin, we're seeing another one of those buy signals at a very good time for something like Bitcoin. But now if you want to talk about Coinbase and wrap things up by analyzing the balance sheet, the reason why I said this company has a little bit more debt than I would ideally like is because, as you can see, their assets right now are sitting around 16 billion. Meanwhile, their liabilities are sitting around 14 billion. Ideally, I'd like this to be at least a double, meaning assets could have been around 28 billion, and that would have made me very comfortable. But the good thing is, if you put this into context and look at the cash position specifically and their short-term debt, you can see that their total current liabilities are only 11,000 or 11 billion, and the total current assets are 16 billion. And so in the short term, at least, they have a lot of liquidity available to cover some of their shorter term debt. And now obviously Bitcoin is a volatile asset, so there's no guarantee that this balance sheet stays the same next quarter. But again, if we look at the data right now, where Bitcoin is, where it historically has been, and the future of Web 3.0, NFTs, and the decentralization aspect of Bitcoin, then I think Coinbase is a very attractive medium risk, high reward kind of investment opportunity right now. And because, again, we need to keep in mind this company sells at over a 70% gross margin, and so, or actually an 80% gross margin to be fair, which means that the capex for this company and operating expenses are extremely low, and there's a lot of room to expand for this company because of that. And so even the $6 billion on cash, even though it doesn't look like a lot with the debt, it is a lot, and it could last this company a long time over the next couple of years. But anyways, guys, that's just my high-level take on Coinbase and Bitcoin. Let me know down in the comment section below if you guys want me to do a little bit more in-depth take on this stuff. I know I don't talk about crypto too much on my channel, but I just wanted to get this very rough video out there to give you guys my urgent thoughts on what's been happening with Coinbase stock and crypto. But as usual, guys, make sure to drop me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.